Ooh, better. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching at home. It's our February 10th, 2014 Town Board meeting, Town of Rhinebeck. Would you please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
We have approval of our prior minutes. I would like to have a motion to approve prior minutes of January 9th, 2014.
Motion.
Second? Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. I could have bundled them, but I'll do them separately. I would like a motion to approve the prior minutes of January 13th, 2014 reorganizational meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved. May I have a motion to approve the prior minutes of January 20th, 2014 special meeting?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. And lastly, approval of prior minutes of January 27th, 2014 regular meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you. Announcements. I have a couple to make. Property taxes are due by the last day of February without penalties, so please mail them in or pay them in person at M&T Bank next to the post office or here in Town Hall. Also, we have a deadline for property tax exemptions. The deadline is March 1st, and that goes for all STAR, all seniors, veterans, all wholly exempt in agriculture, so get your exemptions in. We are still collecting resumes for a zoning administrator, zoning enforcement officer, people for the positions on the Board of Assessment Review, for the Zoning Board of Appeals, for our web committee, for our new Historic Preservation Committee. We need a member for ethics and for our Recreation Council, or are we calling it committee still?
Committee still.
Thank you. The Planning Board clerk asked that I reiterate a couple of points for the Planning Board, since there's been a lot of community interest in the Red Ring properties, formerly Killen Soil Mine on White Schoolhouse Road. The public meeting will continue before the Planning Board on March 1st. So anyone interested in the Red Wing mining, March 3rd, on the first the Planning Board's meeting in March. The final draft environmental impact statement on the Grassmere Farm Hotel is available for review at the Star Library, the Morton Library, or here in the clerk's office with the Planning Board Secretary. What else? Do you guys have any? We're also looking for a consulting engineer for the town board. Any other, yes, Bruce?
2 weeks ago, we gave an update on the fire contract, and the response from the village was they would look at the access and get back to us. They've been kind of busy, but we haven't seen anything in 2 weeks. So
Should I follow up with the new mayor?
I think so, because we're running out of time.
We need access to we're looking for the county records online.
Right. And they have the ability to get into it, and the proposal was either give us the data or give us the access.
Right, which they agreed to do. So, all right, I will
Right.
call the new mayor, Heath Tortorella, which, congratulations, Heath, for you guys. The other thing is that I did speak with our co-head of emergency services, Henry Campbell, who's agreed to consult with both us and the village in reaching an equitable agreement.
The other thing was I just wanted to thank Bob Fitzpatrick for the last snowstorm. He was out for 12 and a half or 13 hours, depending on how you count lunch. So he spent an hour shoveling the pedestrian walk bridge down at the waterfront. So.
4 times, probably.
Yeah, well, he does here 4
Yes,
times. But,
yeah. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, all of you who helped us in the snowstorm. It was a doozy. Anything else?
Nope.
Elaine? Nope. Alan?
Nope.
I'm going to get some housekeeping out of way, and then I'll take you out of order.
It's okay.
Any committee reports or liaison reports? Apropos of that, we do have a resolution for Alan's new committee liaisons. We'll come to that. That's farther down the list. Let's go to our resolutions. Resolution 2014-061, approving our preliminary accounts payable abstract 2 in the amount of $21,244.80.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion here? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved, thank you. Resolution 2014-062, it's approving preliminary accounts payable abstracts 2A V167 through V20736, checks in the amount of $189,785.31. May I have a motion?
Motion.
And a second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Am I missing? Oh, no, that's it. Okay, well, I want to say, everybody's signing all of the vouchers, so thank you. You guys are being very diligent. I appreciate that.
We saw that you missed one this afternoon, so.
Number 8's down here. That one. That's
Is 8
Kappa.
on the, yeah, okay, is that on tab? We have one more. Resolution 2014-068, approving capital projects abstract for $41,548.52 and $62,735.63.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So moved. I think the one I missed was on purpose. It was, I had a question about
Okay.
it and didn't go back to sign it. It was for a court billing, correct?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I can approve that after the meeting, but we actually don't need that. I'm going to take it out of order a little bit here because we have the cemetery committee before us. So can we go to item 7, resolution 2014-067, approval of cemetery rules and form and authorizations to pursue Green Building Council certification. May I have a,
Burial Council.
yes, may I have a motion? Motion.
Ah,
And a second.
second.
Any discussion? Suzanne Kelly, our chair of the committee, is here to present to us. Thank you very much for coming.
So there is one additional thing, I don't see it on here. There's a matter of the deed. Do all of you have a copy of this deed?
Which item number?
Yes,
Okay, can I address that first?
yes, it's the last page. It's tab number 7,
Got
Ellen.
it. Got it.
Yes.
So, when a plot is, a cemetery plot is purchased, one gets a deed, Shelley sends those out to everyone, and we need to make up basically a new deed for the natural burial section. So this is addressing that, which includes the grassmere nature section lot numbers, and those have been inserted in here. So I guess this needs to be approved so that when the plots are purchased, we can send these out. And there's one additional change that needs to happen, and this change actually needs to happen for all of the deeds in the cemetery. This was kind of an oversight, I think, when the cemetery was turned over to the town from the Association Cemetery in 2003. The second to the last paragraph shouldn't be there. That pertains to money being put in a trust for upkeep in perpetuity, and we don't keep those perpetuity funds. The town doesn't. That was something that the association did. So I think it was just an oversight in the past. You might want to just run it by the town attorney if you want, but it's pretty clear that it shouldn't be there.
Okay, so the paragraph that begins "and the said
Yes.
party," so this needs to be deleted?
Yeah.
Well, what about the funds that we've been holding for years?
Yeah, so those funds are there, but there's no new monies being put into those funds.
But do we want to put new money into those funds?
Well, I mean, that's a good question. We haven't had that discussion. The town made a decision early on not to do that, but we could revisit it and leave the paragraph here, and we could, as a committee, revisit the idea.
Well, yeah, before we take that out,
You want to discuss maybe?
Okay.
So, in it,
I was saying take it out because that's not what we have been doing for the past 10 years.
explain it one more time, I'm sorry, I'm a little slow. Before the cemetery was turned over from the association
Yeah.
to the town in 2004, we charged people, we put money into a,
We did nothing because the cemetery was operated by a nonprofit organization, an association cemetery. The town took it over, I believe it was in 2003. And at that time, the town could do what it wanted. The association was bound by the rules of New York State for nonprofit association cemeteries. And according to those rules, those laws that govern those association cemeteries, you have to have a number of accounts set up. And one of those accounts is a perpetuity fund that is a long-term maintenance fund, basically, for the cemetery. When the town took it over, we have those funds still. They're static funds. We don't use the money from those funds. But we have all the money that comes in from the cemetery goes into one pot, and it doesn't go into those funds. We don't there's no percentage that we set aside for anything. It just goes into one place. And the town can do that. There's no law saying the town can't do that. And so that's why this doesn't really pertain to what the town has actually been doing for the last 10 years. We could decide that we want to do what the association did in the past, which is what Bruce is raising. So I guess it's good.
you're raising the point of an additional fee to people who purchase a deed?
It's not a fee. It would just be a percentage of the fee that's already charged taken out.
To dedicate the percentage of the fee that's already
Yes.
charged to a specific,
Fund.
So
right.
it's just moving from one pocket to the other.
Exactly.
well, in that case it is, but my problem is there's $250,000 sitting there
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask next.
that's made,
Well, that's a whole separate issue that probably we
wait,
can address right
one
now.
at a time,
Yeah.
please, I want to hear what Bruce is saying.
in the past, when the interest rates were very high, up until the last decade, it made sense because it was generating revenue.
Sure,
But now it's $250,000 sitting there,
right.
and we can't do anything with it. It just sits. We get 50 cents or something like that off it.
Exactly.
So I think we need to look at whether we want to use that or what our options are with that. And the other thing is that because we're a municipality, we put all the money in the same pot. It goes in the,
Exactly.
not just cemetery, everything goes back in the
There's
same
a
pot.
couple of different accounts,
Right.
but yes,
Well, general.
Yes.
It goes in the general fund.
general fund.
Right.
So I'd like to find out what we can do with that $250,000 before we take this out, so,
Well,
sorry.
when it was turned over to the town, the idea was that money should stay with the cemetery because that was the cemetery's money.
But they can't access, they're not accessing it. and-
Right. I
And
hear
who
ya.
knows where it goes?
I hear you.
So you want to find out, could we access it and give it back to the cemetery?
Yeah, we'll put in the capital for cemetery or something
Because there's a
like that.
lot of good things, which
Yep.
we'll come to. There's two other things we're talking about. We have $250,000 languishing in a fund. Could we use it
Yep.
for some of these great things you're
Yep.
doing?
I can find those answers for you.
Great.
Thank you.
So you'll come back, can you come
I
back
can,
next
but-
week? I mean, at the next meeting or the
Sure.
meeting after?
Yeah, but but the deed, though, what do we want to do with the deed? Because it's sort of a separate issue.
Well, you've asked us to approve this as a template for the Green Burial Cemetery.
Well, we're ready to sell deeds, so do we just want to approve it as it is and not take the paragraph out right now, even though we're not actually doing what that paragraph says?
I think we could, because
Okay.
we could zero out, we could say 0% in here.
Okay. I
And-
think it does say that.
Yes, so it's here, and if we want to at a later date delete it, we can. Let's leave it.
Okay.
Do we need to run this by our, I will run it by our attorney, and we could,
Hasn't an attorney already looked at it?
oh,
He did, yeah, so yeah, that's what he said. Yeah, that's how it, yes.
Yeah.
so are we being asked to
Since it's
approve this?
0%, it really doesn't have much impact.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's actually 3 points. There's 3 points to this agenda, which it's not on here. This is 3 of 3, to approve I'm going to make an amendment to this motion. John, do we need a separate resolution for this? Or do you want to just amend this resolution? Should I do it piece by piece? Okay, so may I have a motion to approve the Town of Rhinebeck Municipal Cemetery deed for the green Grassmere Nature section, lot sales. Motion?
Emotion or a motion?
Everybody look.
Motion.
An emotion?
Second.
Or a second? Any further discussion?
I just have a question. Is this deed for all new plots or just the green ones?
This deed, well, the deed is this deed is actually for every plot that's sold in the cemetery, but you can see the sections where the numbers are filled in.
Right,
Those
okay.
are, right, those are
Sure,
specific to
okay.
the natural section, and those are the numbers that were just changed. It was kind of an afterthought. Dave Queen was like, wait, we need to change the deed. We haven't sold any plots yet.
Got
but-
it, okay. I
Yeah.
understand.
Any further discussion or any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved. To whom does this have to go, Suzanne? Shelley?
Shelley is the one that sends them out, yeah. Okay, so the rules and regulations. So we revisited the rules and regulations that were adopted by the town in 2003 when the town took over the cemetery. And we did it for a couple of reasons. One, because we came up with natural burial ground rules and regulations, when were they approved? Now, maybe 2 years ago. And we wanted to incorporate them into the rules and regulations. So we revisited the old rules and regulations, created a general section, created a conventional burial section, and then attached the natural burial section. So the general section applies to all of the sections, and then the conventional applies to the conventional, and the natural to the natural. Nothing's been changed in the natural since we passed them, it's still the same. And all of the changes are on this key that I've provided here, so I don't know if folks have actually looked at it, if you...
Yes.
Yeah, if you have any questions, maybe it'd just be easier that way.
I'm just not sure what the changes
Okay.
are. I
So-
mean, I've read it, it makes sense, but I don't, is there anything specific that you want us to know? Is it more than just the landscaping or the tree removal, or?
I'll actually point out the highlights. So there's only been 3 things that have been deleted. So if you look at the old rules and regulations here, we deleted, the following information must be supplied to the cemetery prior to any interment. We deleted age of deceased because we already asked for the date of death. We deleted old rule number 14, all bodies and cremated remains left in the receiving vault during the winter shall be removed and interred by the next following June 1st. We deleted that because we don't use the receiving vault. We haven't for many
Decades,
moons, and
yeah.
it's actually in disrepair, so we deleted that. We deleted old rule number 15, the interment of cremated remains will be permitted only in appropriate rigid containers such as wood, metal, plastic, or concrete, because we allow people to put cremains right into the ground, right in the hole. So we got rid of that. So those are the only things that have been deleted. We added some things. We asked for information about interment. We added a new rule, information provided to the cemetery when actually they purchase a plot. We actually didn't do that before, so we're trying to create better record keeping.
What's the new information?
The new information, the following information must be provided to the cemetery with plot purchase, name of purchaser, address, phone number, email, alternate contact person, that sort of thing. We didn't have that before. We changed what was rule number 6 to include this. Rule number 6 now reads like this, and I'll state the addition. Resale by lot owner, because people can sell their lots once they've been purchased. Before any burial shall have been made in such lot, plot, or part thereof, or if all the bodies therein have been lawfully removed, the lot owner may sell or convey such a lot, plot, or part thereof, subject to the prior notice to and approval of the town of Rhinebeck. And so the addition is what comes next. Plots must be sold at the current rate. Purchaser must supply required information to the cemetery. So we needed to clarify some of these rules, and this was one that needed great clarification, because if someone does sell their plot, the town needs to know who it's sold to, right? And so it was a little unclear before the way it was written.
And we're not allowing people to buy them over the current rate?
Right, yeah.
Or under?
Right, exactly. So
Suzanne, I have a question for you. If it's already been sold and somebody's reselling it, why can't they sell it for less if they want to? Like, what's the reasoning that we'd want to deter
that's a good
them?
question. What did we decide about that?
They couldn't sell it for more, that was the most important part. They don't want people.
We couldn't sell it for
to
more.
start making an outside market for just marketing cemetery plots.
Yeah, we were worried about the whole spec
Yeah,
thing.
the more I understand,
Yeah.
it's the less, because the way this is worded, it seems like it would go both ways. They couldn't go under or over.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess there wouldn't be an objection on my part to doing it for less, that we could change that.
I mean, because it could be gifted to another family member, or,
You could always do
But that, you can always do that, that's part of another rule. You can allow anybody to be buried in a plot that you have.
I guess I don't have one feeling, I don't know why we don't just keep it at the current rate. I mean, why would we want to create a free market for,
Well, no, I'm just
Right, or
thinking if the plot was
eBay
already
auction.
paid for. So if the plot was already paid for and somebody wants to sell it for less than what they paid for it, I don't know why they,
I think that, I
Wouldn't be
think
able to
maybe
do
one of
that.
our thinking was that then people who are selling their plots are in competition with the town who's selling them at the current rate.
yeah.
They could
yeah, but the
just,
plot's been sold. I guess that's what I'm having problems wrapping my head around. It's
Well, then
already
we-
been paid for once, so anything above and beyond that, it's additional anyway, right?
I'd like to
Yeah.
protect the town
Yeah,
and keep it
I
all
hear
the
what you're saying.
same. I think you're right. I think it establishes some competition, in a sense.
I mean, I think that that's one of the things that came up in the meeting. I hear what you're saying. I don't know that I necessarily have an objection to it, but I think that that was the idea, that if they could just go ahead and buy it from somebody else, when the town already still has plots to sell, why don't they just go to the town and buy a plot?
Bruce, do you have any
Well,
comments
if
on
it was like somebody that they knew in the family or
really
something,
don't
I'm just
care.
thinking of the range of possibilities that might exist, that somebody might,
Do you want
if
it
they
to
already
do-
paid for it,
Right,
want to sell
right.
it for a little cheaper. I just am trying to understand it, that's all.
Yeah.
Do we want to, are you asking to make a motion to amend this motion?
Well, I don't see why we wouldn't allow somebody to pay less if they already paid for
I will
it.
tell you that we went over and over and over this in our committee. We almost were just, we took it out several times completely because it didn't used to be in there. We've been trying to address this issue of, people buying lots of plots and then reselling them.
Right.
So-
I think it,
Do people do that a lot?
Not in Rhinebeck, but there, places in New York City where plots are really expensive and they have real strict rules against that. I know it's hard to imagine, but it does go on in other places. I don't expect that we'll
We have
ever
an
have that
open-
problem here.
we have a motion on the floor to accept this as is, unless anybody wants to make a motion to amend this.
Yeah, I'd be interested in making a motion to amend it to say something about not going above the current rate, but I'm not entirely comfortable with not giving people the freedom if they already purchased
Do
it
we
to
have
sell
a
it for
second
less.
to the motion?
Well, I'll make a second so we could discuss it second. But how do you enforce this?
Exactly.
You're right.
Well, if you can't enforce it, we can't have a rule.
That's a good
Right.
point. Yeah.
You're not going to.
Well, who signs the transfer of deeds? Doesn't it come before the town board again?
No, because it's not our property anymore.
No.
Well, not only that, that they can pay one fee and then have a separate transaction with the rest of the money.
Yeah. And then these
That
were some of
happens
the
all the
questions why
time.
we were just going to get rid of it altogether.
I would take it out.
But there are many cemeteries that do have this in their rules and regulations. It's not an uncommon thing to include in there. And again, we were just trying to protect the town from, every possible.
Speculation.
Yeah. So we could just get rid of it. I mean, I think that, again, I don't think that this is probably ever really going to be an issue in Rhinebeck. It may just be sort of overkill.
Last famous
Yeah.
words.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody's watching this. They're like, ooh. Burial plots. Yeah.
I think it's a good intention. I just think if you can't enforce it,
Uh-huh.
it shouldn't be there.
I agree with that, especially with, I didn't even think about that, but that's a very good point. It begs a lot of other questions if it can't be enforced.
I mean, again, this is something I think that we passed by Warren at one point, and we may want him to actually look at it and think about it. I don't know if it's worth it, but it may not be that important of a point.
We have an open motion on the floor that is to change item number 6 to delete plots must be sold at the current rate, purchaser must supply. I think it's just plots must be sold at the current rate to be deleted. I'd like to have a vote on that. A yes vote is to delete, a no is to remain the same. All in favor?
Aye.
No?
No.
So the noes carry.
I'm a no.
Noes carry. So the motion is the same. I'd like to vote on the motion before us unless there's any other discussion. To accept the rules and regulations for the town of Rhinebeck as they are.
Move.
Second. We had an open motion.
Oh.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, I'm confused.
We're voting.
What are the two things, I thought I just voted
Excuse
on?
me, we have
Sorry.
a open motion on the floor to accept the rules in front of us. Your motion to amend it was defeated.
Okay.
So we're voting on this motion.
I got it, okay, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to say nay.
I'm going to say nay because we don't know what to do with 6 now.
Right, I'm not comfortable with leaving that open like that.
Well, let me tell you why I voted yes, and that is that with the rule there, at least if there becomes some rampant market of speculation on cemetery plots, at least we got some recourse. Whether,
John, where are we on this motion now?
Tied.
Well, you
just
voted
didn't-
against amending it and then voted against it as is, so we're nowhere.
Well, because it seemed like we were going to have somebody review it. But I guess we're not having anybody
That-
review it.
That wasn't on the floor. So,
Okay.
So maybe we should put that on the floor, is that possible?
I mean, I will say, it's not an emergency we already have the rules and regulations, the old ones and the natural burial ones in place. We revised these because some of them were arcane and also just old, and we thought it was the time to do it.
Tightening
There's
it
no
up.
emergency right now to pass these. I think that if we want to revisit this, I can also take it back to the committee. It's totally fine.
I think we're interested in the plots must be sold at
Yeah.
current rate.
I mean, I think that our committee actually has exhausted this conversation, so it might be something that you folks want to work out
So
yourselves.
we want to
Yeah.
exhaust it? You're
Yeah,
gonna kick it to
yeah.
us to exhaust?
Yeah, we did have a pretty lengthy discussion about that, so,
well,
yeah.
John, the motion doesn't pass because it's tied,
You
correct?
haven't approved these rules.
We have not. The motion died. Because just voted against it both ways. I love it. So the motion is
He's just
dead.
a
We are
negative
going
guy,
to
that's all.
kick it back to the committee, please, to bring us some clarification at the next meeting on,
I think we're done in the committee. No, I think we're good. I think that you folks need to decide.
I'll leave it to.
Take it to Warren, maybe?
I'll leave it to
Yeah.
you,
I'll contact our town attorney.
That sounds great, yeah.
Okay.
And then,
I mean, if it's enforceable,
Then there's no problem. I have no
you have no
problem.
problem. That's what I thought.
yeah, I mean, the enforceable thing is a good point. I don't know how that would work.
I think ultimately it would be enforceable, because you'll find out about it if it gets to be out of hand. Of course, what do I know?
Okay, last but not least.
okay,
So,
this is the third part of our.
third part, yeah. So the third part is, the committee would like the town to approve the process of seeking certification from the Green Burial Council. The Green Burial Council is an independent nonprofit organization that basically sets certifiable standards for providers for natural burial. They're kind of the gold standard. They're the standard bearer in the field. So if you think about it almost like in terms of green building, you're basically getting this gold seal. So when we actually set out to do to develop the natural burial ground, we actually looked to the GBC for a lot of guidance. So that's what we would like to do. We would like to begin the process of applying.
I think it's a great idea. How much, is there a yearly fee to
Yeah,
join
it's
this?
$295 a year.
And
The
it can
first-
come out of your cemetery?
Yes.
If we get that $250,000, it's,
Yeah.
you could pay that
Well, it's really not
$250 a year.
really costing, we have $295. The first year, actually, it's $495, but after that, it's $295. And that's if we get certified as a natural burial ground. There's 3 tiers for the GBC. The top tier is conservation. We could never become a conservation burial ground. There's various reasons. Mostly our size is too small. The second tier is natural, and the third tier is hybrid. In New York State, of all of the natural burial grounds that exist, there's only one that actually is certified by the Green Burial Council right now as natural. So if we got certified as natural, it'd be really great.
Where
'cause
is it? Where is it?
It's outside of Ithaca.
Oh, great, of course, Ithaca.
Yeah. So that's what that's what we're going for.
So that's the motion before us. Thank you for it. Do you have any other information for us?
Unless you want more information about
No,
that
I've
process.
spoken to you and read the stuff. I'm
Yeah.
going to make a motion to.
Can I just say one more thing?
Yes.
So I'll be returning, though, to bring you up to date on what the process is, because there are a few things that will need to happen. We'll need to get a deed restriction. There's a few things.
Yeah, we'd love to hear.
Yeah, okay.
Whenever you want to come before us and
Okay.
tell us.
And actually, there is one thing that will come up, if I can just go
Yes.
back, because it was with respect to the perpetuity fund that we were just having a conversation about. In order to be certified natural and not hybrid, which was the third tier, we do need this. We do need to set aside 5% of each natural burial plot sale into an endowment fund like we had. So if we want to make a commitment to that certification, to the second tier commitment, the second tier certification, we would need to set up that, and we would need to get a deed restriction for that area that said, this section of the Rhinebeck Municipal Cemetery will always be natural. We'll never turn it into a conventional cemetery ever. So those two things would be things, additional things that the town would have to do. But without those things, we could still be certified as hybrid. But I'm hoping that we can get those
Go a
things.
step
Yeah, that
higher.
would be the best.
Thank
So,
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And we'd love to have you back anytime. Something we've been discussing, about having more committees come before us so that the public knows what's going on, so it's great. I'd like to, may we have a motion for Resolution 2014067, approval of cemetery rules and regulations form. That's aside. This is to pursue the Green Burial Council certification. John, we have these two tied in one motion, resolution. Okay, so I'm making a resolution to pursue Green Burial Council certification.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Can I just ask, how do we separate them?
Well, it's a
Oh,
it's a
okay, okay,
function of
gotcha,
the
thank you very
clerk.
much, okay.
Is there any discussion?
Scissors and tape.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved.
The
Thank you.
old-fashioned way.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Suzanne. Definitely.
Okay, we're going back to item number 4, which is Resolution 2014-064, authorizing the town supervisor to sign an engineering agreement with Crawford and Associates Engineering, PC. And this is our engineering agreement for the Thompson Mazzarella Park Pavilion project.
Right.
Correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Do I have a motion
Motion.
and a second? Any discussion? I'll just say for the public, this is our pavilion with our $100,000 community block grant that we are going to start on very, very soon, now that we've got this contract in place. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved. Thank you very much. Item number 5, Resolution 2014-065, approving the hiring of McGrath and Company appraisers for preliminary appraisal of the gardens at Rhinebeck. Do I have a motion
Motion.
and a second?
Second.
Any discussion? For the public, we have another certiorari issue with the gardens at Rhinebeck, condos Phase 1, and our certiorari attorney, Karen Hagstrom, and the assessors have asked us to approve $3,500 to hire a appraiser. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Thank you. Item number 6, Resolution 2014-066, authorizing the town supervisor to execute a master lease purchase agreement and all related documentation with First Niagara Leasing Incorporation with regard to the lease purchase of an International 7500 SF 4x2 truck and snowplow frame and equipment for our highway department. May I have a motion
Motion.
and a second?
Second.
This is one of our new trucks. It's been delivered. It's the R3. It's ready to go on, it's ready to be used. I believe that the plows fitted up. It hasn't been used yet, ready to go. And this is a lease agreement. We decided a long time ago that we would, out of the $145,000 purchase, we'd get a lease for about $100,000 of it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved. We've done 7, we've done 8. Item number 9, which is Resolution 2014-069, hiring an auditor for auditing of certain town departments. May I have a motion?
Motion.
And a second.
Second.
Any discussion? For the public, during our budget planning and during our budget sessions for this 2014 budget, and subsequently, we decided that with the change in administration, we would hire an auditor to audit our town clerk, the cemetery, highway departments, building, planning, zoning, the 2 justice courts, and recreation, something that the town board usually does. We are going to hire an auditor to go through everything and make sure that it's as it should be.
Are there any other departments that are excluded?
No.
So it's all it's everything.
Everything we get. She had made, the woman we're looking to hire, Lori Doty, had said she would do tax collecting, but the county in effect audits that for us, so we didn't think it was necessary, and we'd like maybe more on recreation. I'm going to ask her to break out for us residents and non-residents
Okay,
by week.
I think you should include the transfer station since we bill there. And, right, we bill them $100 a month.
So you want her to audit their pay to Royals payment to us?
Cash is supposed to be coming in.
Okay. Any further discussion? We're hiring an auditor. I will talk to her about adding transfer station for $2,500. We have $5,000 in the budget. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved.
Is she also doing the AUD?
No, that's our former AAD person
Okay.
who doesn't do audits.
Ray
The
the
chili,
chili?
yeah.
Okay.
That's later, though. We have more time on that. There's just one more item here, and then we're happy to take public comment on anything. We have our newest board member who was appointed at our last board meeting, Alan Shearer, and with that, we have someone to take on a new liaison for more committees. So we've moved it around a teeny bit, mostly between Elaine and Alan. Alan is going to be, since he's an IBM fellow and has 40 many years
Don't
experience in technology. He's going to take on our web and tech with me. He's going to work on recreation with Bruce and historic preservation, putting together our historic preservation law, Quitman House, town historian, and help me with the business office flow. And Elaine is going to take on aging, Pando, waterfront, cemetery, and animal control. I've given Joe, he's on vacation, and this usually happens when someone goes on vacation. He's going, hopefully will take on our zoning administrator in the zoning department as well.
Was one bit of clarification. Joe had asked me to take the cemetery because of the labor part of it.
Well, why don't you take on the labor aspect, and Elaine can work with the committee, or?
Yeah, but that's not the way this, I just want to, do we want to split it that way, or?
That's fine with me.
I don't really care.
Whatever you want to do.
I'm just reminding you.
Yeah, no, I know buildings and grounds and rec, and it's all one big lawn mowing.
Well, it's more
Snow removal.
the Teamster part of the thing.
Yes, that'd be fine. And, feel free to swap, and just because you're a liaison too doesn't mean that you can't, you can't jump on, if you're not a liaison, that you can't ask questions or get involved. It's really to help with the oversight of the day-to-day business with these different departments.
Yeah.
So can I have a motion for resolution?
Motion.
2014070, revising our town board liaisons. In a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved. John?
Is the board considered item 3?
I guess we can go back to item number 3. We did take things
Yeah,
out
we
of order
did
here.
skip that, didn't
My mea culpa. going out of order. Thank you, John. It's Resolution 2014-063. It's a local law enacting a one-year moratorium on the implementation of provisions of Section 125-61 of the Town of Rhinebeck Code relating to green building standards for a period of 1 year. Do we have a motion
Motion.
and a second?
Second.
Discussion? We held our public hearing on this at the last town board meeting. We feel that we need more help and guidance in implementing a plan for the town for green building, and we're going to try and do it. If not, we're going to look to hire someone to help us implement this. And any further discussion? We have a year to do it.
We had 6 months.
Yeah,
And nothing happened,
Yeah.
so.
Roll call vote.
This is a roll call vote. Further to the discussion, if we can't get some purchase on this in the next couple of months, I think we should look for some consulting company to help us, because it is in our comp plan, and, we have a lot of building going on here, and it's something that's very, could be very good for the town and good for building practices. We're pursuing our historic preservation law and green building. So we'll give it one more shot, get the Conservation Advisory Board. There's been a couple of community members whose names have come up. We'll reach out, and if not, I think we need to look for a consultant to help us put this in place, but that's for another day. So all in favor of this moratorium for another year? A roll call vote. Thank you, John. Supervisor Spinzia votes aye. Deputy Supervisor Gelb is absent. Councilperson Fernandez,
Aye.
Councilperson Scher,
Aye.
and Councilperson Washburn.
All right, I'll go along with it. Aye.
So moved. Thank you. Is there any public comment or question?
We have a discussion item on the agenda, too.
Oh, we do.
Yep.
Lean, you put that there.
Pardon me?
You put that there.
Yes.
Go ahead.
It just has to do with the committee structure, and it's something, we've been discussing now since the reorganization. And I know that there would be some committees that would be reporting directly to the board, but without liaisons. And I was asking for a discussion as to whether it might be practical or a good idea to do both. Have a liaison for the day-to-day functions, maybe easy decisions that need to be made right away, so that a committee doesn't have to contact 4 board members and a supervisor to get an answer, while also having them come and report to the whole board, maybe quarterly.
Well, there was one problem with that, is that what we just, as I see it, we decided that statutory boards and departments with elected heads can run their own department. We found in the past that a liaison sort of puts a level between the town board and these other boards, and between these other boards and the public. I
Right.
still believe that, so I'm very comfortable with this. I don't see what they would need to survey us. I don't see what they couldn't do without coming before all of us.
Do you think it might behoove us, though, to ask them, like, what kind of day-to-day things? Because I've had a couple of people come to me. There was one email exchange with one committee member who was questioning whether it would be worth it to have somebody who could...
Committee or a board?
Committee.
Well, committees do have liaisons.
No, but not all of them. Or are they, okay, so there's a distinction between some of the things that we have on our list as committees, but they're actually boards, right? I'm just trying to understand the difference, because this is somewhat new to me still, so, because I have a list of pretty much everybody that's under the board, so I guess in my mind, I'm just thinking of them all as committees, but I understand what you're saying, there are some that are statutory boards. So in the case of the one board, I know that somebody did bring up to me that they thought it might be a good idea to continue with the liaison, because he felt that there might be day-to-day things that could be solved, and he seemed a little confused, so maybe it just is a matter of educating on how this would work. But the way he raised it to me made a lot of sense. That's why I wanted to bring it before the board for a discussion item, because I thought he's right, if there's something that could be answered pretty quickly, their question might be, do we have to wait for 2 weeks before we go before the board, or do we have to contact each and every board member to get an answer?
Well, as a single board member can't make a decision, so.
But I think that's where the confusion is.
Sorry.
Bruce.
We have a list of authorized purchasers, and the board is supposed to approve that every 2 years, set it up and approve it every 2 years. And if the department head or somebody else in the department isn't available to make the decision on the payment, then in the past, it had been the liaison that could approve the purchase. So that's the only flaw that I can see in that. And you could still do that. You could still designate somebody as the role, the supervisor or whatever, as the rollover for the purchase. As far, I don't know what else there would possibly
I
be.
don't know either. I mean, I sat down with every elected head and chair of statutory boards, and nobody had a concern or a question.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe it came up after, like when something came up for that person, and then they had.
Could you give me an example of
Sure.
what it was?
I can't give you an example of what it was, because I don't remember everything that he told me, but it was in the court department. And he had just mentioned that when Joe Gelb was his liaison, there were certain things that he could go to Joe for and just get an answer like that, and that he felt like, well, if I need an answer that could be given quickly, do I contact every one of the board members now? Is that practical? Like, there were more questions.
I'll reach out to the justices,
Okay.
and they're elected, and we give them their own budget, so they really do everything for that department.
Right.
There's very little we do except help them with, we don't even help them with their computers. We set their budgets every year, correct?
Yeah, I really don't know. I mean, I have the least experience of anybody.
No, thanks for raising
So
it.
for me, it's just an issue that was brought to me as a board member as a question, and so I thought it would be a good thing to bring up for all of us.
I'm happy to reach out to the courts again. Does anybody else have any feeling on this, or?
Well, the other thing this year is each of the departments can move money within their budget without having to come to us because of the way we structured the budget. So, right? So that they even have more flexibility
Yes.
this year.
I mean, and I just wonder what it is, because we're not office managers for departments. You know,
Yeah, and I wish I
don't want to put us in the
understood.
position of,
Right. I wish I understood the responsibilities and roles and, the local governing process with respect to all of the statutory boards and committees well enough to articulate it. All I know is that this was raised, so I thought it'd be a good thing to bring up. But maybe it'd be a good idea to go back to those people that you did speak to already and just maybe ask the questions. Now that this has been in place, has anybody anticipated, something was raised by somebody else, has anybody else anticipated any issues? Maybe see
well,
what.
I don't want to,
Okay.
I'm fine with it.
Okay.
I will go to the courts again. I mean, we have a highway superintendent who runs her department.
Yeah.
We have a planning board and a zoning board and
Right.
the assessors board, and they run their departments, and they're fine. And I'm here frequently, although the highway department's in another building, my door's
Right.
always open.
Okay. And just as a general question, is there a frequency with which they'll be reporting to us? I mean, I know we've sort of all talked about possibilities, but is there something do we want to bring them in on a semi-regular basis?
I
or
think we
establish
should.
something? So like every 3 months, every 4 or 5 months, like what do you think would be a good?
We have to have a schedule.
Bruce
Yeah.
has a schedule.
Well, you need a new one now. We're already 2 months into the year. So, John, do you have the schedule I sent before?
I'm sure I could dig it out.
Maybe we can just start getting them scheduled on the
Yeah, that would be
town
really
board
good.
meetings. So town board meetings are going to run a little bit longer, folks, in the future.
I think I picked up
Oh,
some
joy.
time. A little extra time here. We've been efficient and together. Get schedule, it's Bruce's. All right. I will circulate the schedule that Bruce did. We can amend it. You will be responsible for bringing your committees on when they need to, and I will copy you on emails to the statutory boards and departments and get them in here whenever we think they should be here.
Okay.
Do you want to bring the schedule to the next meeting?
I think that's when I don't know where it is.
Okay.
John's gonna try and find it. This new job's driving me
Didn't
crazy.
save a copy?
Everybody had copies. Can I make a
I've got
motion
it
to
in my-
adjourn?
Yes, I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for coming, thanks for watching.